In this conversation about apokatastasis and whether or not the Christian tradition holds that one day Christ will restore, redeem, reconcile, renew all things, we've got to ask this question. Why do we keep the gospel personal instead of cosmic, right? If the New Testament often talks in a cosmic scope about the reconciliation, restoration, and the renewal of all things, why do we make it so small? Why do we not hold it to that grand perspective? Well, there's a few possible reasons. We are prone to confining the scope of the gospel to our level of concern. However, God's scope has always been cosmic, which transcends yet includes the personal. Let me explain. If I am someone that is only concerned with myself, then my understanding of the gospel will only include me. If it includes my family, then it will include my family. If my circle of concern or level of concern is about my neighborhood, then my understanding of the gospel will be about the neighborhood or the nation or the globe. If my understanding of care is cosmic, then I might actually be more likely to notice that, oh, the gospel is also cosmic, or was cosmic first. But what's so interesting is just because you might care about the family or the neighborhood or the nation or the globe or the cosmos, that all of those include the personal. So it doesn't negate the personal, it doesn't leave the personal out, but it transcends and includes, which is a principle we're going to bring up again later on. So studying the topic seriously about the restoration of all things, it really does challenge the common status quo and the quote orthodoxy of popular understanding, and directly challenges how many Christian organizations and denominations define the gospel. And so maybe we keep it at a personal level because then it's less likely to cause disagreements, might be less likely to influence some people's giving if they find out that, oh, God actually cares for other people, even if they don't yet believe. There is a whole industry of publishing that benefits and profits off of instilling fear of eternal estrangement from God by then producing products that assuage that fear and then project it onto others. There's so much money to be made off of the idea of an exclusionary God. How tragic is that? We rarely engage in topics and ideas that challenge us. Let's be honest. It takes careful work to challenge one's worldview, and some do not have the energy or the effort to open that, Pandora's box. To talk about the gospel as being something cosmic and about the reconciliation, redemption, restoration of all things might be too much of a shift for some people to handle before they're ready. For some, the good news is at first completely overwhelming, this type of understanding. And it would require a massive reframing of everything, a task of which some may not have the courage. It could also be a task which they know if they publicly acknowledged, people might reject them just like the early apostles. See what I mean? So there can be a level of fear where people may be afraid to talk about this topic, may be afraid to whisper their hopes that it's true for fear of being considered an outcast. But that's what this video series is about, is to help realize there's actually more support for this position within the New Testament itself than there is actually against it. So, when you work at a church, as I have, the topic of damnation can either be completely avoided or it is completely overemphasized in the wrong way. That's the experience of some people that I know. Hell was held over them in a terrible way. A God of fear was the primary God on a Sunday morning, not a God of love. To talk about the restoration of all things inevitably would cause people in either camp to leave and to put the regular tithing at risk. So, if someone were to start preaching the idea of the restoration, reconciliation, and renewal of all things, the people that like to hold on to a God of fear and wrath and punishment might choose to stop giving money. And sometimes that might mean a church would close. And so sometimes this topic is not even brought up. However, to some, they will sit at ease when they find out that their deepest and secret conviction was true, that God is love. I've actually had conversations about this topic with people, and I tend to hear two reactions. Either one, people are angry and incredulous. They cannot wrap their mind around it and they exclude the idea. And then others kind of say, I knew it was true. I knew it. I just had the questions. I couldn't bring it up. I couldn't say it in church. I couldn't say it to the pastor. I couldn't say it to my friends. But I always had a feeling that deep down, God actually is unconditional, infinite love and mercy and grace. Boom. So why do we keep the gospel personal instead of cosmic? It's disruptive. It's super disruptive, but maybe it's disruptive in the right way because it's actually putting things back in their proper place, which is what apokatastasis means, to take something and to bring it back to its original place, you know? So that's it for this one. Grace and peace.